All right, y'all. I think we're on. The devil is really trying to be in the monitors today, but it is what it is. So I hope you can.
And October is over, so I don't know why.
Hear us clearly and see us clearly. Okay, I was like, let's make sure all the things are on because, wow. Anywho, Thanksgiving is almost here. I apologize for my aggressive tone, but I don't like when the technology be against me. Anyway, Thanksgiving is almost here. It's going to be here sooner rather than later. And yes, while it is time for family food and everything in between, hopefully it will be a time of gratitude and thankfulness. We do not acknowledge the pilgrims on that day. It is the natives' holiday. Um, despite all the drama. Anyway, cultivating gratitude is really important. During this time of year, I think is when we all start really thinking about that. What does that mean? Even if the year has been a little trying. So, with that, if that sounds like you, if you like, oh, I know I should probably be a little more grateful during this time of year, or how do I get to gratitude because it's just been
all year
a crappy year, or how do I just make this more part of my lifestyle? Then you should stick around because this episode is for you.
Hi, I'm Pam Williams, a mother.
And I'm Jessica E. Williams, a daughter. And this is a mother and a daughter truthful chat, where we discuss our 35-year multi-layered relationship.
We've been through so many ups and downs. Not only are we family, but we're business partners in the high-stress world of event planning and production for short films.
We've also shared the same therapist for over 10 years. What some people call codependence, we call collaboration.
So join us as we share stories from our lives,
have candid conversations with other mother-daughter duos,
and shed light on the roller coaster ride of being a woman while raising a woman.
All right, y'all. Sorry, duck face, screw face. Welcome to Truthful Chats.
Oh, I want my new cup side to show. We have new cups.
Turn it around. This is Support Black Theater. Shout out to Safina Brown, who we talked about in episode 8 of the podcast. So this is the organization that we do a lot of events for. They're really heavily featured in the intro of the show, which we realize every week. But anyway, that's our family. So if you're new here, this portion of what we're doing is called Truthful Chats. So welcome to Truthful Chats. If you're first time, if you are back for more, welcome back. And
thank you for coming back.
And thank you for coming back because we're
showing gratitude to you that you were coming to be with us on Thursday evenings.
So if you're new here, Create Generational Wellness is the channel. Every month we have a theme, and Truthful Chats are the time that we unpack that theme just a little bit more. So it is November. The word of the month is train. And if you clicked on this video, you should already know that it's called Train for Gratitude because of the topic of the day. So let's get into it.
Yes, indeed. So we talked about gratitude journals last week, and although it seems very simple.
Hey, what is this?
Cranberry juice.
Oh.
Cranberry and something.
Oh, I think it's pomegranate.
Yes. Cranberry and pomegranate. It is. Strong. That's very good for you. It seems simple and basic, the journaling thing, but studies have shown that people who keep gratitude journals for just 3 weeks, just think about that. If you do this till the end of November, you're going to see a marked change in a lot of areas of your life. First of all, physical. Journaling, believe it or not, makes you have a stronger immune system. All right? We out here fighting all these germs and things and the COVID and whatever, but the journaling, believe it or not, strengthens your immune system. You're less bothered by aches and pains. You can lower your blood pressure. It causes you to want to exercise more and to take better care of your body, and you sleep longer and you feel more refreshed. I did sleep better this week.
Help with all these things.
Yes, indeed, I do. All right. Psychological. Again, you want to move forward with how it makes you feel emotionally. You'll have a higher level of positive emotions. You're more alert. You're more alive. You pay more attention. Hopefully, you're not so negative. You have joy, happiness, a little bit of pleasure, get a little oxytocin going in your brain by releasing all those things as you journal. And socially, it helps you be more generous, more helpful, more compassionate to other people. You're more forgiving, you're more outgoing, and you don't feel lonely and isolated, which is a big deal because When you are in a state where you are not feeling your best, then emotionally, the thing that most people do is withdraw. And that's the last thing that you need to do, is to withdraw. You might need to withdraw for a minute, but you don't need to stay there, because then that's going to lead you to more isolation and more depression. And you would be surprised that being supported and affirmed by other people will help you feel so much better. And which is why then your immune system is better, because those are things that are happening.
Indeed.
Yep.
So yes, I guess speaking of affirmations, since that came up, yeah, journaling is good, and cultivating gratitude via journaling, which is kind of the connection if we hadn't made that already, is good because it helps be an affirmation of goodness. Life be lifing, which I feel like we say every single episode.
And you can feel that there is no goodness at all left in the world. So you have to remind yourself.
Also, when you're just regular little life, maybe you don't have the capacity to care about everybody across the water. This is America. Sometimes we be like, that's a them problem. You know what I mean? We got a lot of problems over here. I'm not saying it's right. It's definitely first world problems for sure, which is also a very disgusting statement. We're all one human species, right, and we be dealing with things together, but it's easy to compartmentalize. That being said, it's just a practice to affirm that there are good things that are happening in the world in the midst of several wars, genocides, school shootings,
the dumpster fire,
just, voting here, SCOTUS is doing whatever they want, like nobody cares, you know what I mean? Just pick a thing, okay, that's trash. And this helps you, this practice of being
grateful for something
and writing it down, okay, it helps to affirm that, like, oh, everything isn't so bad. That doesn't mean that you don't have burdens, complaints, trials, tribulations, fire on every side, that you are not crushed and persecuted, and all the things Paul talked about. But it gives you opportunity to have a lighter energy about you as you practice and experience gratitude.
Okay? Yes, indeed.
And then the other part of that is figuring out like where that gratitude stems from and where
the good
comes from.
Yeah, goodness in the world.
Because nothing really just happens, right? I think we all know the law of cause and effect. So I think I'm going to make a weird analogy here, but most of the time I'd be mad at people talking about systemic issues, like systemic issues just cropped up out of nowhere, instead of like actually getting to the root of where the thing is, because then the systemic issues will stop if you got to the root of what the things is. But that's too much like doing Zach Galifianakis math, if you know that that gif where he be looking confused and all the math goes. We also had a reading rainbow that was going around on TikTok for a minute. That was the same thing. That was like a level of confusion. Anyway, I think the same thing happens with goodness if you don't really pinpoint the root or where the things are coming from. Y'all saw that. But we're back. Excuse the glitchy internet today. I really have no idea what's happening, but I think it's windy outside. So
yeah, it's very windy.
Thank you for sticking with us. Anyway, but we might have other technical difficulties, but we're just putting that.
We're gonna power through.
Anyway, because the good thing is that the internet kicked back on. Okay, there's only so many things that can be in your control, which is also one of these points. Exactly. Is that gratitude gives you an opportunity to humble yourself at the end of the day, because there are so many things in the world that you literally cannot control. And this is literally something that you can. Sitting down with the pen and pad and thinking about actual good things to counter your negativity bias or any of the things that you have that just is pulling you down in a particular day, season, moment, month, year, several years, might give you an opportunity to change course, because you get to humble yourself, because you'll probably recognize that all the goodness doesn't stem from you, though we all like to
think it does,
toot our own horns, but it usually comes from dependence on other people in some regard, right? Like somebody sent you your paycheck, somebody else decided to give you a hug today. You know what I mean? It usually involves some other people. So recognizing that is good. And then if you do have a spiritual practice or a faith or something you believe in, it gives you the ability to connect with the higher power and gratitude for saying thank you for providing these things or giving these things, or I recognize the gifts in my life, whether you believe in God or ascribe to the universe or do the crystals thing. However you do what it is that you do, you acknowledge that something is above you, okay, that is hopefully raining good things down on you. Not to say that foolishness don't happen. So, as the Bible says,
rains on the just and the unjust,
and everybody in between. Okay?
Yes, indeed. So what good is gratitude, right? We talk about the benefits of it, but let's just go a little further. What good is it? It allows you to celebrate the present. It is so easy to get stuck in what happened in the past or worry about what's going to happen in the future. And neither one of those things, as Jess was just saying, you don't have control over. What happened in the past is done. As they say, let's be
solution. It's done. Let's be solution oriented. Shout out to Yasin Bey on Boondocks. Gangsta-licious.
But at any rate, you can magnify those positive emotions. We talked about this before about the negativity bias. It takes 5 positive things to undo a negative thing.
And already in a deficit.
Yeah, and most of us are in a deficit because if you do not make a concerted effort to put the positive in or to think about the positive or to write the positive down, as we're talking about this month with the journaling, the negative is going to play. It's going to play like a broken record. And our emotional system likes new. We want that adrenaline boost. We want that oxytocin
the buttery hotness, the newness
of something good that has happened to us today. And if you really pause and think about it, you will be able to think of something good that's happened to you today. I don't care what kind of situation you're in at the present, you can always think about it for a minute and you will find something to be grateful for. You can find something. I won't say you will, but you can find something to be grateful for. It allows us to participate more in life. We're not just running through and not being cognizant and aware of what we're doing. It makes us appreciate the value of the things that are going on in our life. And sometimes that's hard to do. It's been a rough 3 or 4 years. We've all acknowledged that. So it is really important, I think, for us at this juncture of trying to get back to some phase of normal.
Not just acknowledge it, remember it. Because I was literally talking to somebody yesterday that was like, it feels like the pandemic was so long ago, and it really was not.
It was not. It's like people talking about slavery being so long ago, and it ain't.
Well, y'all know how y'all feel about that. It's incorrect what y'all really do. Y'all act like Jim Crow was so long ago, and Martin and Malcolm being assassinated was so long ago. But, people like to believe what they want to believe. That's your own personal bias. But anyways, let's just acknowledge that wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
And we're all still dealing with the effects of it. I think it's really the point.
Absolutely. And if you're not careful, you can start. Okay,
sorry,
you got something
one more.
else.
And I feel like that cycle, I'm just thinking about it now as we're talking about gratitude and journaling. I think that whole season of life upped our negativity biases, like as a culture and like as a world and as society. It felt like everybody's individual lives were falling apart, but also collectively the world was falling apart. And so I think that
and our leader at the time was,
we don't acknowledge him. That man that y'all have voted for the one time in America specifically that let it slide, but there were some other world leaders that let it slide. And the conspiracy theorist in me has my ideas about that. But anyway, people had let us down. Okay, thus far we all had to stay in the house, and that was already a big letdown. I don't think any of us have ever experienced or will experience again. But Brandy taught me to never say never. The entire world being shut down, right? Which had its positive and negative, but also people's individual lives has suffered specific things, from people passing away from COVID or losing jobs or whatever, marriages falling apart or whatever the things were. People unfortunately completed suicide or it was a lot to deal with. So I think our negativity bias
has a lot to overcome at this point.
Yeah. So I think we're all kind
Everybody need to have a journal somewhere all the time, trying to pull yourself up out of it.
I think we're all sort of in a reconstructive, if not
that's good. I like
resurrection phase.
A reconstructive resurrection phase. That's really, really good. And that might take a minute to happen. It's not going to happen overnight. We were in that thing for 3 years. They don't. I'm sorry. But you also don't want to take the goodness for granted. So some of us, things are not the way we would like them to be.
Some of y'all was having a great time during that time.
And having a good time now. They're not, things are not the way you would 100% want them to be, but they're not horrible. And if you don't take the time to pay attention and celebrate the goodness, you'll just kind of get used to it and take it for granted. And you won't really feel the effects of it as much as if you're conscious about it, right? You spend a lot of time watching movies and TV and the news and all these different things, and all that is going in to you as well. So with gratitude, you kind of step away from that for a minute and come into contact with your life more. Does that make sense?
That we all are familiar with streaming or like watching stuff, binging, right?
Binging.
You sort of interrupt the negativity bias binge that your brain tends to be on and be like, let me inject some other stuff in here. So
that's good. Good part. Gratitude blocks the toxic and negative emotions. We have talked about that. Again, the negativity bias. You want to block that out. You want to get rid of it. You want to not feel envious or angry or jealous all the time. If you're experiencing a lot of negative emotions and then you start writing about the things you're grateful for, it's like your body can't do both at the same time. Your body can't process the negative emotions if it's processing the positive.
You gotta pick a side.
Gotta pick a side. And the negative emotions are affecting your body. I don't know how many ways to say this. I am living witness and proof. The negative emotions will affect your body. It's going to cause disease. It's going to cause pain in places that you don't want. It's going to cause elevated heart rates. It's going to cause blood pressure. It's going to cause all kind of things because
I thought she has all of those things. She just says she knows people.
Yeah. It's going to release toxins in your body. And if you don't do something to combat that other than take a lot of medicine, you got to change the way you think. You got to change the way your mind works. You have to try and change the way you look at things so that when something bad happens, you don't say, this happens to me every day. Every time I try to do something, this is what happens, blah, blah, blah. Because it doesn't. That's not the truth. The truth is it might happen twice in a week. But in your mind, because you have that negativity bias now, this happens to you all the time. So you start to internalize that and your body starts to react to that.
And your brain gets into survival mode. Because remember, we talked about that. Your brain's job is to literally keep you alive all the time.
Yep.
So if it feels like it's perceiving negativity or, threatening things, then it's going to respond in a particular way.
Grateful people are more stress resistant. Again, that's because you're putting stuff into your positivity bank and canceling out the things that are in the negative bank. And the negative bank is what causes the stress. It just goes together. When you have all that negativity going through your mind, through your body, looking at what could happen 5 years from now, a week from now, 2 hours from now, whatever it is, you're causing that worry gene or whatever it is. I don't know the exact.
The loop.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a real term.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the right scientific term for it, but you're causing it to connect to your brain, and your brain is doing a certain thing because you're thinking in a certain way, and then that is then going into your body in different ways, right?
Becomes a pattern or loop. This is number 4 of all the things that we're talking about. Grateful people tend to have a higher or greater, I don't know, equations, sense of self-worth.
Higher, greater.
I was like higher,
greater, whatever.
It sounds judgy. That's what I was saying.
You just feel better about yourself. How about that? How about we say it that way?
You feel better about you. Because you're able, like, like we said, if you have a higher power situation happening, but you feel like someone's looking out for you, like someone has your back, like you recognize that things are coming to you in a way that they might not have, or they are not for another person, probably. Not that we're trying to do a comparison thing, but you tend to feel, I think, more grounded, more centered. Um, you're able to sort of place events and circumstances and people and relationships like in a proper place. And I think you just feel like overall a little more secure, as opposed to if everything is danger, danger, danger
all the time.
Red
bad
lights, orange lights.
Like, what's that girl's name used to be on the car? Dari. Was it Dari?
It was. Dari was just, she understood that the world was trash. I'm not even gonna put that on her. Daria was a MTV, one of their like original programs, at least when I was coming up. And it was a cartoon series, and it was about a girl who was like, Daria, like she was always very like sad. She was very mellow. Let me tell you though, she was super unbothered. I will say that. Daria was never bothered about nothing. I probably actually learned a lot from her.
I think so, now that we're talking about it.
Because people would be freaking out and she would be like, that's just how it is. Like, it is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. So she was trying to shade Daria, but I think Daria actually had a high sense of self-worth.
Yeah, maybe she did.
She was just grateful to know that this is how things are, and okay.
I'm not going to get upset about it.
Sometimes she might be a little proactive, but like you remember Quinn would always be doing some type of foolishness, her sister, and it would never work out. Their dad was crazy, their mom was crazy, but Daria would always be right here with it. And it would be, she would watch Six of That World, and like she just kind of just...
We might have to go back and watch that.
Listen, Daria might actually have a certain... That's why I said...
She might be preaching for this time and season.
And then, it gives you opportunity to not just higher power, but again, appreciate the people that are around you, because once you start to recognize the contributions that other people are making in your life and to your life, then you can appreciate them more. And hopefully you're doing the same thing for them, so it's not a one-way street, but I'll stay off of that because some people are learning that the hard way about their friendships and things that, that is it's a lesson. It's a lesson to be learned. I think that, when people are not giving out the same energy that you're giving out, they're not matching your energy. It might be time. Cut that thing off.
Write about it in your journal. See how you feel.
And I think that's important because then maybe you'll recognize, like, if you're like, let me write down the phrase I'm actually grateful for, you may think that you may find that the people you think you will be most grateful for, you're like, dang, and I think about it, they're not really down like this person is, or like, oh, I was totally expecting this person to show up for me for this, but actually this person showed up. Like, so it might do a whole like paradigm shift about who should have a little more access in your life versus who might not be able to.
Yeah.
That's free 99. It also helps with your self-serving bias. So just because gratitude is good doesn't mean that it's an easy thing to accomplish, because you're kind of like going against the grain of like, it's like a faith exercise. It's like a bunch of trash is happening, but let me try to find the glitter sprinkles in a whole lot of trash. It's not even it might even be like a full gold rush nugget. It just might be like a little powder, a little residue that you're trying to hold on to keep positive. So, and you're going against a very deeply ingrained psychological pattern or tendency that you have. So it might not, it'll just take you a while to get into it. Let me go ahead and say that. And a self-serving bias, I'm going to read it because I'm sure this is someone's copywritten Webster's Dictionary version. It means that when good things happen to us, we really feel like we did something to deserve it. And then when
it's because of something we did.
When bad things happen, we tend to like blame other people, like, or other circumstances or exterior things. So it's one of those things of like, when things are good, yay me. When things are bad, it's like, woe is me, and it's everybody else's fault.
But you
mine, which could
made me
not be true.
Blah blah blah.
As well. So yeah, I think gratitude gives you a minute to like pause on that and maybe reassess. It's like camera angles. Like maybe he was looking at an aerial view. but maybe you need to do, like a medium shot or like a master shot or like a little close up. You might see things a little bit differently depending on the angle to which you are looking at things. And, shout out to SAG-AFTRA. We held it down. The strike is now over.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to all the strike captains. My friend Rodney was one of them. The strike, thank you to everybody at the negotiating table. But the strike really belongs to the strike captains who kept everybody motivated and, down. We went at least twice because I was working because I work a lot more in theater. But I am a SAG member. But yeah, just being around people last night to see like the power of people, right? And what happens when people band together against really intolerance and foolishness. And actually went out. But I think that this is a lesson of, at least from a CEO perspective, getting rid of the self-serving bias, because a lot of these people really thought like they ish don't stink and they make the world go around when it comes to creating content. Yeah. And they really have to don't be humble, because the writers and the people that put their body on the line every day, IATSE, all the crew members, all the actors, like everybody was like, no, bro, it's the hotel workers, everybody striking, because sometimes, when greed is involved, the capitalism is involved, and all of these systems that tend to corrupt human goodness.
And those people are not appropriately grateful.
Then, that self-serving bias really be strong until you be humbled. So I think that was a good example of that. So shout out to everybody striking. Do what you need to do to feed you and your family, and let these people know there's no you and your millions, your yachts, your homes, your vacation homes, your children's scholarship funds, and all of that without the people that make things happen. And then, of course, we talked about this already, but we'll go a little bit deeper about gratitude. Also goes against your needs to feel in control of your environment all the time, which is, I think, hard for all of us, because we all want to be in control at a certain level. Except Daria, who was like, whatever, fam.
We have to go back.
I'm not expending my
energy. We must go back. I feel like there's a sermon in there somewhere
on that. Because, gratitude just teaches you, like, it is what it is. I mean, like, you just got to accept. Granted, there may be some things that you could change, okay, which the gratitude journal will show you. You might need to pivot direction. But also some of the things you'd be like, wow, I just, as much as I wished, hoped, believed, whatever, that's just not how this turned out. But this happened instead, and I can be grateful for that. And it gives you other
things don't always have to be the way that you thought that they were going to want them to be.
And then gratitude also contradicts what's called the just world hypothesis, which means you feel like everything happens equally. Like good things happen to good people, bad things happen to bad people, and that's the universe's math. But if you've been here longer than like 5 years, ain't none of that true, okay? Things be cattywampusing all the time, okay? Bad things happen to good people, and all of that's really relative, because aren't we all really trash at the end of the day? But anyway, we're all trying to get to various levels of evolution and being better people and all of that. But I think we all know that the math that like, I'm good, there were good things happen to me, or I don't think bad people call themselves bad, but so bad things. But I think we all understand like rewards and consequences, or causes and effects. But I said that was true earlier, and it is about gravity and certain things. But sometimes in life, that the cause and effect always happens. It just might not happen in the way that you're expecting it to, or managing your expectations to accommodate when things don't go the way that you intended, which is what my therapist be working with me on.
And it changes around. Like sometimes you get more than you deserve. Sometimes you get less than you deserve. Sometimes you don't get what you deserve.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think everything is expectations, because there's no like overarching scale that you could put this on and be like, you put on the scale and see how it weigh out. It's just like you feel that should be the thing that should happen, or that should be the right right cause for the effect
for what you
out.
Yeah, for
But sometimes
the right effect for your cause, yeah,
or the cause for your effect, however you want to think about it. But everything is here to teach you certain lessons or get you to a certain point in life or mature you or grow you, or you got to take some L's sometimes, but they're really lessons, and like all of those things really contribute to the humility pot, but also the gratitude pot helps you in the midst of maybe being stripped of some things or taking a loss or doing a thing to be like, okay, this sucks, but it's not all bad if I just take the time to really do a meditative practice of being present, like we said, with what is maybe actually going good. Or, something that you can look at. And it keeps you from being entitled. And this is where we do the entitlement PSA. Entitlement is really trash. You is not really entitled to nothing. For my Caucasoid brothers and sisters, I know that's very hard for y'all because everything is set up. Some of y'all don't believe in systemic racism. As a person of color, I can tell you it's very true. That y'all are just primed to be the center of the universe. That doesn't mean that bad things don't happen to you. I'm not negating that. But there's a certain level of entitlement that comes with the complexion for the protection, as the great ancestor Paul Mooney wants to put it. But as we said, the rain falls on the just and the unjust, okay? But again, I think when we talk about managing expectations based on what causes and effects we are expecting, I think we also have a certain level of entitlement of, because I did this, because I put this much effort into it, because I so, this should be the natural result. Because it happened that way from somebody else, or somebody told me that if I did this, I would get this, you know what I mean? And we could all be cooking the same meal or doing the same math and come up with not the same thing. You know what I mean? That's life. Like, be like, okay, well, you did A plus B equals C and you got X. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you be like, but I was looking and the math was doing this. You know what I'm saying? But
according to the formula, it should have worked out.
Okay, you remember? Speaking of which, when we talking about cartoons, you remember? Was it Phoebe on the Magic School Bus? And that heifer used to always be like, according to my research, and Miss Frizzle would be like, girl, we all up in the esophagus. Forget your little research. I'm trying to put you on game in real life, okay? So for all the Phoebes, I think that was her name in the world. Miss Frizzle, according to my research, sometimes according to your research is not a thing, okay? Not in these here days and times on Beyonce's internet. Sometimes it don't work out the way you think, but that doesn't mean that there are things that you can't be grateful for if you take the time to put your thinking cap on and get out of a negative mindset. And journaling can help you do that. And journaling, and we did a whole thing about what kind of journaling, a bunch of different journaling techniques you can do. But we're focusing on journaling into gratitude this week.
Count your blessings. We sing that song when I was in Sunday school. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. I know I'm aging myself. Some of y'all don't know that song, but that was a vacation Bible school, Sunday school song. Count your blessings. It's just put them in your journal. 1, today I woke up. 2, today I went to the refrigerator and it was half a dozen eggs left and I could eat a couple of them. You might not have gone to brunch with a lobster tower or whatever, but you were able to make you some breakfast. So count the blessings, the different things that you have. As I tell you, the older I get, the more I understand what the old people used to say when they say, clothe in my right mind. Because some days you wake up and your mind is going a million places and you have to snatch it back and you have to go, wait a minute. No, there's nothing we can do about that today. So we are not going to obsess, go crazy, keep worrying about this all day today. So count the blessings, the things that can go well. And then, I'm always looking for ways to help you teach your kids these kind of abstract
generational wellness
concepts about how to be grateful. So I don't know. We have a gratitude jar. And funny thing is, we pull it
really
out.
only use it at Thanksgiving.
We really only use it at Thanksgiving, but we should use it all year. Just put a gratitude jar and put little notes by it and let people write in there when they come to your house, or every day, if you want to make it a practice for your kids, put it in, let them write a note and put it in the gratitude jar and maybe read it once a week. Or put a gratitude note in their lunchbox. I'm grateful for this about you. And then you start to build a practice of them thinking, well, what am I grateful for about mom or my friend or whatever? And so you can kind of pass that forward. You're teaching how to show your gratitude in a multitude of ways. I read a story as we were reading different stuff for this about a family who puts their spare change all in a jar every day. So you're grateful. Yeah, you're grateful that you have spare change. Number one, that
do have a lot of spare change.
Yeah, you have a lot of spare change. So be grateful that you had money that could make spare change. And then once they fill the jar up, they do something for somebody. They do something good with that money. They pay it forward. So
pay it forward.
Tangible ways to show your gratitude. So it teaches children, like you said, you can be grateful, you can show your gratitude, you can pay your gratitude forward. So that's just a little, as Jessica says, free 99, but it's how you create generational wellness, where you have your children learning to be more grateful than not. You know, I'm going to give your sister a shout out.
Shout out to my sister.
She is one of the best moms I know. And one of the things that I know her kids are grateful for each other. You can see it in the way they take care of each other. I have never heard them say their little brother gets on their nerve or this, that, or whatever. They just take care of each other. They really do take care of each other. And I've watched them over the years. They can play with each other, the four of them, and be very happy. They don't have to be on no iPads or no phones or this, that, and the other.
On all the things, but
they can be on all the things, but I've seen them have just as much fun not being on the fun things. So that's what I mean about they have a sense of gratitude for each other that I think is remarkable. And you want to teach your kids that if you can.
And I think the spare change thing is cool, because even if you're, let's say for that particular family, things weren't going well, paying it for also, I think, gives space to be grateful, not in a savior complex type way, because especially during this time of year, people be really grandstanding with the I want to help my fellow man and let everyone know. But
it's just
not there's
even a little bit.
Yeah, even if, let's say, something crazy traumatic was happening for that family, just having that money and keeping that tradition of, okay, things are bad, but we're still going to do something good for somebody else, right?
Yeah.
I think that also teaches grown people and kids, even if things are trash all the way around, we still can cultivate gratitude and we can still help our fellow man. Yes. So I think today we shall conclude. We did journal thing.
Did y'all do any journal
prompts? I don't know that I put them on the stories. I'm sorry, but I think throughout the month I'll just keep posting things. So if you didn't see it because I didn't post it, or if you didn't go back and watch the episode, I think I did it because I wanted you to go back and watch the episode. But anyway, we had a couple of little prompts. I really just did these today. I'm not even going to try to hold you like I was really great. One of the prompts was write a letter to someone that you care about, obviously, but it was like that's made a positive impact in your life. So today is Thursday. It is 2 weeks have passed, so I decided to write a letter to my therapist. He's the first person that came to my mind. So I'm not gonna read the letter, but yeah, it was just good to be able to express gratitude, right, for a person that's been in my life for a long time, and really because there's the feelings, but then it's a little more concrete when you actually write the things down, and you can see like being able to articulate in on paper, like what that relationship has done or the progress we've made or whatever, like really having those things like written down. Um, I don't know, I think it made me more grateful and more thankful. I was like, than I normally am because I keep all these things in
In
sort
your
of an
head.
abstract place, right?
Yeah.
In my head or in my heart or whatever. So to have it a little more concretely written was good. And I don't know, I might give it to him, I might not. We'll see if he listens to this. He'll be like, I want to see it. And I'm like, we'll see, bro. And I did a gratitude list of 5 things. So it was like write down 5 things that you're grateful for and why. So I will quickly read those. One, I said therapy. I said it's a safe space to unload and to declutter my mind and speak my truths that I sometimes don't all the time feel like people in my life have the capacity to hold for their own reasons. 2, somatic yoga. I've been trying to be on my somatic self-care vibes. And shout out to Ivana. Yvonne put me on to, I can't remember the girl's name, but if you follow Ivana Erskine, it's on her her, her IG and her TikTok. There's some girl on YouTube. She's great.
And if you're not following Ivana, you should.
You should be following Ivana. Ivana gonna give you the keys to life. Anyway, yeah, it's just a lot of exercises that you do that are yoga practices. Saints, don't get all crazy about the yoga. If it's not for you, just don't do it. But anyway, it's just putting your body in positions and breathing to release emotion. So we always say that emotion could get trapped in your body. And I did a lot of hip exercises because I hold a lot of tension there. And also in my neck too. I think I did hips and like, it was like a heart thing. So that was good. And it's just a few like little simple exercises and mainly stretches. This ain't, if you like a crazy cardio or like a what's them people? I don't know. You know, y'all be doing the like real extreme cardio. This ain't for you. It's very slowed down. It's very regular. But anyway, it's just a few simple exercises to release bodily tension. And I feel like it's been providing emotional clarity for me about other things. So like in the middle of me, so some people when they do them, like they'll end up crying or whatever, or like really feeling some emotional response because of opening up their chest or whatever. I didn't feel that, but over the last like few days that I've been doing it, like if I get into like a negativity bias or something, like I start to ask myself more questions and I feel like I have more answers more quickly. 3, I said theater. I've been doing a lot of theater in the last 6 months. And so just being in a lot of different environments around the city just has afforded me a lot of opportunities to learn, to grow, to feel about a part of something bigger than myself, which is important because I can get down in my own head. And I'm hoping that I'm, gaining and earning a reputation in that industry and in that space as someone who has good taste. It's important to the community and the scene, and is inviting a lot of different types of people into the space. 4, The Mornings EP by San, who is Simone Lever Bozeman. If you don't know, ask somebody. Her EP is really, really beautiful. It's an excellent body of work. If you know me, I love music. I have not watched the visualizer yet because I was like, I'm gonna cry, and I'm not trying to do that. But anyway, it is a incredible EP. It's like 9 songs. Do have your tissues ready. It might get you going, particularly if you love Chad Bozeman the way that I did. But it just stuck. It's stuck with me ever since I listened to it like 2-3 times last week, and probably gonna put it back in the rotation. But it's really a masterclass in how to grieve and how to heal. And she doesn't owe us anybody, like she didn't owe any of us anything in terms of losing her husband and going through all that. Like she could have just been a recluse for the rest of her life, and we would have been like, sis, we love you from afar. That's okay, we understand. But the fact that she was willing to be open and vulnerable and use her art to be able to teach me, particularly, I'm gonna say us, but I think all of us that listen to the record about grief and healing and loss and how to like move on for that, particularly where I feel like I'm in seasons when I'm dealing with that. Grateful to you, Queen. Thank you for sharing that because you really didn't have to. And you let a lot of us on your journey, and we're able to glean things from you that, again, you don't owe us that, but I thank you for sharing with us. And number 5, sleep. It is the great reset. I know Dave Shans would be really mad at me for saying that because he believes
I don't
that
think he believes it
sleep
anymore.
is sleep is for suckers. But it is a literal crucial reset. Some days are not great days for me, and they feel very overwhelming. And like, I just be like, if you could just get back to the bed and go to sleep, everything will be fine. So I'm grateful for, if my body is feeling weird or my emotions are weird that day or my head is feeling weird or whatever weird and various and sundry things are happening on that particular day, that I just have a great pause and a great reset to rest all of my mind, heart, body, soul, spirit, and that the Lord graciously sees to wake me up every morning anyway. So those are my 5 things. What did you write about?
I wrote about a recent experience. The prompt was write about a recent experience that made you feel grateful and content. And I wrote about sitting with my sissies, as I call them, my 2 really, really good friends, one of which has been out of town for like 5 or 6 months. She was working a long time.
Also in the theater.
Yeah, in the theater, she was working. And we spend a lot of time. We used to spend almost every Sunday afternoon together. And we kind of got away from that. Our lives changed a bit. And so we don't do that as much anymore. But we do always find and make a way to have a sisterhood time at least every month or so. But her being gone for that 5 or 6 months meant that we had not had a chance to do that for a long time. So maybe week before last,
it wasn't last week.
Yeah, it was week before last.
All the weeks are bleeding together.
Just the 3 of us, sat in the backyard, in her backyard, drank some wine, ate some really good food, and just talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. And I was really grateful for that. There was something I was struggling with about how to go about doing it. And just in having the conversation with them, the answer came and it worked out and it was fine. But I have been ruminating it in my head for a long time. So yeah, maybe I'm grateful for community. And then I thought about a couple of other instances. A friend of ours came over the night before last that we hadn't seen in a long time. Not a long time. It felt like a long time. We hadn't seen him.
Yeah. It was Rodney. Shout out to you.
Yeah, we hadn't seen.
I was like, you've already missed you.
Yeah, and so we hadn't seen him for about 3 weeks, and that doesn't sound like a long time, but he is such a light, and his energy is so amazing and wonderful that I realized I kept saying, I miss him. When is he coming over? When is he coming over? So that light and that energy.
And we laughed a lot.
And we laughed so much. So he told us he's lived a very colorful life. And so he told us some really crazy stories. And it was 1:00 in the morning and we were just rolling. But that was good for our bodies. So I was grateful. And so I started to see a pattern that, as introverted as I can be sometimes in big crowds, being in small, intimate groups like that is
quality people
that I really love and trust is really rejuvenating and supportive for me. So, that let me know I need to create some more of those opportunities. So you can find things out when you journal.
Because most days I'm very heavy on the negativity bias.
Yeah.
And then, in a little while, because this is not the only thing that we do. We're gonna hang out with Rodney, we're gonna hang out with my other friend, Matt. We're all gonna go see a show together. So
and that's gonna eat something
and
after.
Then we're gonna eat something.
LA,
probably.
Y'all who don't live in LA really probably think LA stays open all night.
Everything closes at 2.
Everything closes at 2, and a lot of places close at 10. So when you get out of the theater,
except for the 24-hour, it's like a couple of 24-hour places.
Yeah. So when you get out of the theater at 10:30 at night, you were like, what's still open? So I don't know. We're going to find somewhere. But I am really looking forward to that. And I'm going to be grateful and have a good time this evening. There you go.
So yeah, man, all in all, journaling is great. It really helped me today in the way that I was like, I don't know, even though we told y'all that and we believe it, but I was like, I don't know. You know what I mean? It did help. So as we step into a season of gratitude, and the holidays are coming, so sometimes things can be heavy, losses of people who are not there, or just the changing weather patterns can make people's bodies do things.
Daylight, the whole
this whole it getting darker earlier thing really be throwing the people off. I think when we get to the summertime months, that's when I be getting confused. But anyway, however you do what you do, be sure to take care of yourself throughout this time and season. And cultivating gratitude has a lot of health benefits, physically, socially, psychologically. I'm gonna say physiologically.
That too.
Is that I think too? Anyway, it's something that you can really give you shaking the thing.
I'm sorry.
That you can it just has a lot of benefits for you, okay? That's really what we're trying to say.
And listen, next week is the week before Thanksgiving. And I know as wonderful as Thanksgiving is for a lot of people, it's also not so wonderful for some people. So come back next week and we're going to talk about how to train your emotions a little bit to get ready for the holiday season.
I mean, we've talked about that before, but maybe we'll ease into it.
We need a refresh,
different perspective, or some little exercises or something. But as I always say about this time, you ain't gonna know what's going on around here if you have not subscribed to the Create Generational Wellness channel. Follow us on IG, follow us on Facebook, like us on Fanbase. All the things. We are at Create Generational Wellness on every single platform. We are here every Thursday night, live and direct. Excuse me. Oh, that cranberry pomegranate. That's so gross. But it's sorry, it's coming up. Sorry to y'all in the auditory university. Anyway, you ain't gonna know if you're not subscribed, you're not following us, you're not gonna be in the know. We want you to be in the know. Drop us a comment, leave us a DM, tell a friend to tell a friend. Like this video and several other videos. Go back and watch the things. I'm still catching up on stuff, y'all. You with us or you not with us. I don't know what to tell you. I'm being pulled in many directions. And if you're listening to us in the auditory universe, please rate, review. There ain't no real podcast awards, or what there are awards. You know what I'm saying? Ranking systems. Aside from rating and reviewing. Anyway, with that, we're gonna leave you and probably gonna do some more gratitudinal, I don't think that's a real word, gratitudinal practices. And let's all pray for Kel Mitchell. Is that really true that Kel Mitchell was hospitalized? I saw it going around on the ground, but he just popped up in my spirit. So I just want to ask you to pray for Kel Mitchell, because I have gratitude for him. Him and Ken have brought me a lot of joy in my life. And Good Burger 2 is coming out, streaming on Paramount Plus and probably some other places. Anyway, with that, have a good evening. We will see you next week. And be grateful.
Have a safe weekend.
Let's all practice gratitude.
All right.
Bye.
Love y'all.